What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO, Bob Arum, he did an interview in which he was on Barbershop Conversations with Fred. And Bob Arum was asked, what's the next move for one of his ace fighters, undefeated three-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford. Now, that number one pound-for-pound status is starting to shift. There's a lot of people that feel like undefeated, unified WBC, IBF, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Earl of True Spence Jr. is number one. And there's a lot of people that feel like four-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer, who is currently unified super middleweight world champion, WBC, WBA, Saul Canelo Alvarez is number one. With that said, Terence Crawford has yet to lose in the ring, so his status is still somewhat solidified. So with that said, he was asked by Fred, what is his next move moving forward with Terence Crawford, as far as what's the availabilities for fights, what's the realistic availabilities for fights and possibilities, and what's going on with his contract moving forward as he's a free agent coming up in October. Well, Bob Arum stated that he is indeed in negotiations with Todd DeBuff, who also handles majority of Terence Crawford's business with Top Rank, as Bob Arum and Terence Crawford relationship has become strained. So he stated that he has not been in contact with trainer, manager of Terence Crawford, Brian McIntyre, Bo Mac, but they have been in contact with Todd DeBuff, and he stated that Todd DeBuff has reached out to former unified WBC, WBA, welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, who initially Keith Thurman stated he wanted $10 million to face off against Terence Crawford, and they stated that Keith Thurman priced himself out. Now they have re-engaged in negotiations, and they're looking to get a deal done with Keith Thurman or former two-time welterweight world champion superstar boxer Showtime Sean Porter. With that said, Bob Arum stated that he understands and heard that Sean Porter was offended by the $1 million offer. Bob Arum said, I'm old school. He says, since when offering somebody $1 million is offensive? Well, he understands that that's not where Sean Porter was coming from, as being, ungrateful, but it's that his worth, right? And so Fred asked him, well, if Sean Porter feels like his worth is more than $1 million, so Bob Arum stated, well, if he wants more than $1 million, he needs to contact me so we could work out something. Also, he stated, Fred asked him, how do you value Keith Thurman? Do you value Keith Thurman in the same light and view that you value Sean Porter? And Bob Arum stated, yes. He said they're in the same boat. He says, but Todd DeBuff is handling that part of the negotiations because Bob Arum says, I'm old school. With that said, Bob Arum stated that Keith Thurman could be offered a flat $1 million fee. He says he's not guaranteeing more than $1 million. He says, but he can work something out where Sean Porter and Keith Thurman can essentially make money on the back end. He says as long as closed circuits are available, as long as he says they need to have this fight being shown in bars and restaurants and places of that nature, as well as hopefully you can have fans in attendance as well. He says so that is a big part of it. And Bob Arum stated, the sport of boxing doesn't move without the fans. So he showed how valuable the fans are and how much say-so the fans have. Bob Arum says that you don't have boxing without fans. This is not like other sports. We are not, the fans are the engines of the sport of boxing. And so Bob Arum is saying that, they want to make big fights for Terence Crawford. The Manny Pacquiao fight, he stated that Manny Pacquiao's team had reached out and let them know that if they could get a deal done and find a investment group that was willing to put up the money that he's looking for. And so Fred said that Manny Pacquiao is looking for at least $15 million and 15 to $20 million. And Bob Arum says, yes, that's what he's looking for. So we have to find an investment group. I would love to pay him that money to make this Crawford fight. But we indeed need to find an investment group to be able to fit the bill, because Bob Arum is not in the business of losing money, and he's not going to fit the bill. With that said, now we know that Keith Thurman's value is higher than Sean Porter's value. This is no slight to Sean Porter. Keith Thurman beat Sean Porter, okay? Keith Thurman was unified, okay? Keith Thurman is more accomplished in the sport than Sean Porter, and he beat Sean Porter. So his value is high, and Keith Thurman only lost to Manny Pacquiao, 8-division world champion, a legend, an icon who currently holds the WBA because he beat Keith Thurman. But he's a superstar. He's an iconic figure in the sport of boxing. And it was a close fight. Keith Thurman closed the gap. He was dropped in the fight early in the fight, and then he was badly hurt in the 10th round when Manny Pacquiao caught him with a shot to the body. But Keith Thurman closed the gap. He made it a very, very close fight. And it was a majority decision victory in favor of Manny Pacquiao. So that's nothing to sneeze at. That's nothing, Keith Thurman lost to, a Hall of Famer. Okay. And with that said, it's not like Keith Thurman lost to a journeyman. It's not like Keith Thurman was knocked out. Like I said, in the 10th round, when he got hit to the body, he was badly hurt and he had to move around. It was a split decision. So it wasn't even, it was a very close fight. That means the judges saw, a judge saw Keith Thurman winning this fight. So with that said, outside of that 10th round, it wasn't like he was badly hurt when he was knocked down. So he fought back. It was a very interesting, very action-packed fight. It was a very close fight, and Keith Thurman lost. He came up short in the fight. Keith Thurman also cited that he had injuries in the fight, and he wasn't confident that he could just let his hands go with power, right? Sit down on his punches. Nonetheless, he lost the fight. With that said, this is an interesting fight with Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford. Stylistically, Keith Thurman is very versatile. Keith Thurman has a lot of power. Keith Thurman has a jab. Keith Thurman has fast feet. One can argue Keith Thurman has faster feet than Terence Crawford. Keith Thurman is quicker than Terence Crawford. And Keith Thurman has just as much power as Terence Crawford. Now I know people are going to beg to differ. They're going to say, well, Terence Crawford in his last 6 fights, he got knockouts. Julius Indongo, he knocked out. Then he moved up. He fought Jeff Horn. He stopped Jeff Horn. Then he fought Jose Benavidez. He knocked out Jose Benavidez. Then he stopped Amir Khan. Then he stopped Igis Kavalauskas. Then he stopped Kell Brook. Right. But those guys are not in their prime. And they're not, if they are in their prime, they're not to the level of Keith Thurman. When you move up in levels of competition, the knockouts drop. The knockout percentages start to drop when you move up in competition. So with that said, when you fight at that high level, for one, guys know how to survive. Guys are very, very educated. Guys are very, very talented. And you're just not going to go in there and knock these guys out. So your knockout percentages drop. So Keith Thurman, on the flip side, has a lot of knockout power himself. That's why he was once nicknamed One-Time Thurman, which is still his nickname, because one punch could change everything for Keith Thurman. So it's a very interesting fight. He's just as talented as Terence Crawford. The hinge on Keith Thurman is his inactivity, okay? Keith Thurman has suffered a lot of injuries. Like I said, he only has one loss to Manny Pacquiao, but his inactivity, out of sight, out of mind with Keith Thurman, is what gets people to dismiss Keith Thurman in a sense, right? And you just think that everybody's just going to go in there and just blow Keith Thurman out the water. He's not perceived in the same light currently right now as Terence Crawford and Errol Spence because he lost. And then on top of that, when Errol Spence was pushing and trying to get a fight, he just wouldn't abide, right? He just wouldn't give Errol Spence the time of day. And Keith Thurman acknowledged that. He stated that he was letting the fight with Errol Spence build because he looked at Errol Spence as his Manny Pacquiao or his Floyd Mayweather fight. He thought that would be that big, huge, lucrative, massive money fight and legacy fight for his career. And he he admits that he dropped the ball, right? And now Errol Spence is like, he don't want to give Keith Thurman the time of day, and he says that he'll never fight Keith Thurman, and he don't even like Keith Thurman as a person, so he dismisses Keith Thurman. But this fight with Terence Crawford will speak volumes. This a win for Terence Crawford over Keith Thurman speaks volumes, right? Now, obviously, Keith Thurman has been inactive since he fought Manny Pacquiao as well. They've both been out the ring now for going on the better part of 2 years. The last time Keith Thurman fought was July of 2019. We are in 2021, and if he does get back in the ring, let's say he gets back in the ring in, March, April, May, around that time, he's close to that July time where it's going to be on 2 years inactive. Okay, so is Keith Thurman willing to go right into a fight with Terence Crawford, being inactive for this long? People going to view it as a cash out opportunity and a mentality for Keith Thurman because he needs a tune-up fight. He needs to get his feet wet. He needs to get back in the swing of things and get active. So Terence Crawford just recently fought November 14th against Kell Brook. Terence Crawford is more active than Keith Thurman, and he's more, he's more relevant than Keith Thurman, right? And so Keith Thurman has a point to prove. But is this the way to go for Keith Thurman? As a fan of the sport of boxing, go right into it if I'm from a fan's perspective. But if you Keith Thurman, maybe you need a tune-up to prepare yourself for a Terence Crawford and an Errol Spence and those big lucrative fights. Like I said, fans are going to, if you go right into this fight, fans are going to view it as you're just looking to cash out or you just devaluing Terence Crawford's abilities, right? So let's see how this plays out. But Bob Arum says that a flat fee of $1 million and then incentives on the back end, that's not going to get it done for Keith Thurman. So if you're Terence Crawford, you have to look at it from the standpoint that is your promotional company doing everything they can to be able to get you to land these big lucrative fights, because $1 million is a long way off from $10 million. So let's see how this plays out and unfolds. That's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.